Hi, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today is the second in a three-part series about how to break up with a widower. In part one, we discuss the reasons that you should break up with a widower and when's the good time to end the relationship. This video is on the actual breakup part and will include some tips and ideas on how to make the conversation go as easy as possible for both you and the widower. And the final video, which I'll post next time I post a Widower Wednesday video, is how to put your life back together after a breakup and how to avoid giving widowers who are just looking, again, who aren't ready to move on, a second chance. Very common that widowers want a second chance. We'll talk about how to know if the widower is serious about changing after you break up with him. But today we're going to discuss there are five tips and tricks that can make a breakup conversation as easy as possible. Keep in mind some of these may seem counterintuitive, but remember you're speaking to a man, and these are tips to help you as well as him. So here we go. The first tip is do it in person. Please, please, please do not break up over text or chat or anything else unless you're worried about his reaction. Like if you're worried about him getting violent or something like that, then in that case, yes, you can do it impersonally. But if honestly, the best way to do it is to have the conversation in person. And maybe do it somewhere private, not necessarily in your home, not necessarily in his home, but please don't do it in public. Find a quiet place, I don't know, a park or somewhere, maybe to have that a conversation. But yeah, do your best to do it in person. It goes over that way. Usually goes over better. It will mean more, things like that. But please don't just text him and say it's over. I know some of you are thinking, well, I'm in a long-distance relationship. How does that work? If you're in a long-distance relationship, the best thing you can do is, again, I understand you may not be able to be there in person, but at the very least, do it over like FaceTime or Zoom or something like that, at least where you can see the other person, they can see you, and you can read body language and things like that. And just so you know how I broke up, many of you know I had a long-distance relationship with someone before I met Julie. I did break up with her on the phone. It was a phone call since obviously we were 600 miles apart and a face-to-face wasn't possible. But I will also add this was in the days before, like FaceTime and Zoom and stuff like that. So a phone call was the most personal way to do it under the circumstances. So yes, so do it in person. I think that way, I think it's easy to have that that chat in person. And a lot of the reason I suggest this is not only does it make it more personal, but it gives you a chance to read the other person's body language to kind of see how they're responding to this and how they're taking it, something that you really can't do over email or text or chat or something like that. Anyway, that's tip number one. Tip number two is to make a clean break. When you break up, you break up. Remember, this conversation isn't about second chances or him saying that he'll make changes or saying, he'll change his life. This is about a breakup, and that needs to be made crystal clear. So, for example, you could say something like, John, things aren't working out, and I'm ending the relationship. Or, John, we've tried here, but it's not working out. It's over. Feel free to write it down and practice it before you actually break up with him. But it needs to be made clear that this isn't about second chances or anything else or him changing, that this is a breakup. And the reason for this is that if you don't make that crystal clear, it's easy to get sidetracked into, well, I want a second chance, and let's make this thing work. And honestly, widowers need to know that it's over. I say this in numerous videos, but if you really want to know if a widower is serious about you, he has to feel like he's going to lose you. Widowers who are just looking for companionship and are not really into the whole, they're not looking for a serious relationship, will try to string this out as long as possible. He needs to know that it's over, and you need to know that it's over too. This is not the time to get into these conversations about things changing. It's about taking a break and both of you having some time to see what life is like without the other one. So don't make the mistake of trying to, if he starts getting into the second chance thing, and I'll get into this more in the next video, but really make a clean break. Say it's over, whatever, we're breaking up, I'm ending it, but make it crystal clear that that is what you're doing. Tip number three, keep the breakup conversation short and simple, and I would also add, no, you don't have to give him a reason. So again, when you have this conversation, don't drag it out, don't get into a bunch of side stuff or feelings or emotions. That's only going to make things worse for both of you. And remember that you're talking to a man, and if you want him to really understand you, you talk like a man would talk to another man. He'll understand it better. So, again, I always say kind but firm. Again, John, end of the relationship, we're breaking up, things like that. You can give him a reason if you want. I know that often uh, people want to give a reason for the breakup, and that's fine. So if you want to say, John, hey, I'm breaking off the relationship. I know we've tried here, but whatever. You can't stand up to your adult children. You can't get rid of the shrine, or you're still wearing your wedding ring. You can be very simple about the reasons. Just make it clear and simple, but don't feel obligated to do so. Keep in mind that when widowers break up, they don't always give a reason. In my coaching sessions, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to where the widower just walks away and they never hear from him again, and there's no reason. And I know that people want closure, and it's understandable, but you got to remember that widowers don't always give reasons. And so if you feel like giving a reason, that's fine, but you don't have to. And if it's a big complicated mess, you can say there's lots of reasons why this isn't working out. I don't want to get into that now. I just want you to know that it's over. But again, if you give them a reason, make it short and simple and to the point. There's no point to drag this out and say, you can't stand up to your own children. I'm tired of living like this. You get off into these little side tangents, and then you run the risk of, not breaking things off, and it just makes it harder for everyone. So again, keep it short and simple. If you want to give him a reason, that's fine, but you're under no obligation to do so. Tip number 4 is you don't have to listen to him, but if you do, be ready for what he is going to say. So again, we have these. You have the breakup conversation. You say, "Hey, it's over. Whatever. I'm ending it because for this reason." It's common sometimes for widowers to give you a litany of excuses as to why things are the way they are or why things haven't changed. It's also common for them to say, "Hey, I promise you things will change." So understand that you don't have to listen to this. Okay. Again, the point of the conversation is to break up, not to figure things out or give second chances. That can come later. If you feel like it. But if he starts giving you reasons to end things, and really, you can just say something simple like, look, it's too late to fix things. It's over. Again, don't go down this rabbit hole of reasons if he tries to make things worse. That's honestly, again, he may be sincere, but that's not the point of this conversation. The point of this conversation is to know that it's over, and so he knows that you're serious about it. It's important, very important, again, that if you do decide to listen to him, that you have a very simple and clear explanation, or a good a comeback, and just be able to say, look, I understand these reasons, but it's over, it's ending, it's too late to fix things, or something like that. Do not get down into these side conversations. And honestly, I would just recommend if he starts going off on how he'll change, or excuses on why things are, just kind of cut him off and just say, look, it's not working. I know I've heard these excuses before, but we need to move on. You can just kind of end it like that and do it. Okay, so tip number 4 is you don't have to listen to his reasons on why things will work out. But again, just be ready. If you do decide to listen, be ready to go back and just to be able to say, sorry, it's still not working out. All right, tip number 5 is after you break up, and block him on after you break up, block him on social media, block his phone number, email, and any other way he can contact you. The reason I suggest this is that this is a very vulnerable time for you. You're probably feeling lousy, even if breaking up was the right thing to do. And the last thing you need is him texting or calling and saying how things are going to change. You broke it up. You broke things off. You need to show him that you're serious. And you need time to go in and reflect on this. You need the break. You need an emotional break, and you need time to kind of collect your thoughts and get your life back together. Again, in the next video, I'll talk about second chances and whether or not you should give him one. But after you break up, you need time just to kind of evaluate your feelings, evaluate your life, and really kind of see how life is without him. Too often, I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times where the woman breaks it off and the widower kind of worms his way back into her life, days or weeks later. And then 6 months later, I'm having the same conversation with them because nothing's changed. And really, if you want to know if this breakup's good for you, if it's the right thing to do, is you need, I would say at least a couple weeks where you're not in contact with them, where you can kind of reflect and kind of put your life back together and see how things are going. Again, can't tell you how many times that people have done that, and it's like, oh, I realized what a bad influence he was, or I'm so much less stressed, or I'm so much happier now, and if you're feeling like that after a breakup, that's a good sign. It really means that the breakup was a good thing. So go ahead and block him on social media and do what it is that you need to do in order to have some peace and time to reflect. So again, sum up the 5 reasons here on how to break up with a widower. Number 1, do it in person. Number 2, make it a clean break. This isn't, again, a chance to have second chances, or it isn't that kind of conversation. You're breaking up, you're breaking up. Keep the conversation short and simple, and no, you don't have to give him a reason for the breakup. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is you don't have to listen to his reasons why things will change. But if you do, just be ready to kind of cut him off and, again, go back to the whole breakup thing. And then tip number 5 is after you do break up, just block him on social media, your phone, email. Make sure that he can't contact you, so you have that time to go out there and reflect. And that's how you do it. That is the best way to break up with a widower. Now, in the next video, I know lots of you are thinking, well, he wants a second chance. What do I do? That's what the next video is for. We'll talk about how to put your life back together and how you can know as well if the widower who wants a second chance is serious about it. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below if you have questions about breaking up with a widower or want to share your widower story. And I will see you next Wednesday.